Hello, pocket knife community, knife lovers, knife enthusiasts, interested viewers. Folder here. I want to do a quick first impressions and and review of the Kizer Mini Sheepdog. Uh, so I don't know if any of my viewers watch Nick Shabaz's channel. Nick Shabaz did a review on this knife in its titanium version, actually, about 3 years ago. It's a 3-year-old video, and I was watching the video, and it really was hugely instrumental in me purchasing this knife, and particularly in this version. So let's just get into it. This is the Kizer Mini Sheepdog, and it's right. So it comes with the 154 cm blade and in G10 configuration. And this knife comes in quite a few configurations. The review I watched from Nick Shabazz was the titanium version. Is one that I considered when I first thought about it, getting it in titanium. But his review really was very was critical in why I did not get the titanium. So okay, so let's take a look at this, and I'm not sure if the viewers realize this, but this is a non-locking knife. This is a slip joint, and it's the first slip joint that I've ever owned. And the way slip joints work is there are some jurisdictions, countries, I don't think it's anywhere in America. We have some really horrible lawmakers sometimes, but fortunately we haven't had any of those horrible lawmakers dive into the knife industry and recommend a non-locking knife as some sort of I'm not even sure why they think a non-locking knife is anything. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah. So, but it's usually because there's someone that knows nothing about something, and they think it sounds safer. Oh, we'll have a knife that doesn't lock, so you can't use it as for what it's unintended for, maybe. I don't know, which is not true at all. So I'm not really sure, but you have to just understand what you're dealing with when you have a non-locking knife. And if you understand, if you understand what you have, then just like anything else, it becomes safe. But you have to understand what you have. You have to understand that when this knife is in its open position, that it could break free at any time by putting any about a minor pressure on the back. Should you be putting pressure on the back when you're cutting something, then you wouldn't have that problem. You see how the argument falls through, right? When you're actually cutting, you can still cut with the same amount of force as any knife that does lock. When it becomes dangerous is when you're not cutting. If you inadvertently put pressure on the front, then the blade comes down with your hands in the path. This knife happens not to fully have that problem, in the sense that if you're holding the knife using the handle without using the front choil, then once you add pressure to the back and the detent is broken, your front finger is fully protected and stops the blade from coming down. Like you cannot cut yourself, giving you ample time to take your fingers out the way and close it. Or if you use the knife in that manner, open it up in that manner, and then keep your fingers behind, out of the path of the blade, and just add some pressure to the back, you can just close it. So, if you understand what you're holding and how it works, which you should, no one should handle a tool of any kind without having a full understanding of that tool and its safety features and its dangerous areas. Okay, but anyway, back to this knife. I was watching his video, and in the version that he reviewed, it had two attributes that dramatically kept me from buying it. One, it's a small knife and it has a front flipper tab. And that front flipper tab doesn't allow you to rest your finger. It doesn't have a choil. It doesn't have a finger choil. So you only have the option of holding the knife from the rear, which for me is only 3 fingers on, which this type of blade, holding this knife from the rear, is not even acceptable. It's just not. It's not. I would never, probably never use this knife in this manner to cut anything with my fingers hanging off the back, so far removed from the front of the blade, from the tip of the blade, and just cutting something back here. It's just not, it doesn't even feel right in my hand. But once you bring that finger, that index finger, up onto that flat spot, that huge generous choil that they put here, now it changes everything, because now you have more fingers grip on the handle, and you're able to utilize the jimping by having the forward pressure, or not even. You can even bring your finger more forward if you want to really draw down on a cut. And while you're cutting, while there's contact, there's no danger. Where there's danger is if you potentially break the detent with your finger up here. Now you run into a potentially dangerous, yeah. Like I said, any tool that you have, you should have an understanding of that tool, understanding of what tool you're using, what its features are, and how it works. So, but traditionally, I'm not a small knife lover. Not that I don't have small knives, because I do. But I traditionally like bigger knives. A few of the small knives that I have that are this size that I absolutely love, the Giant Mouse Ace Reeve, one of my favorite, if not my favorite small knife, is actually smaller than this. So, and I think this is a 6-inch knife, if I'm not misunderstanding. 6 1/4. So this is a 6 1/4. This is a smaller knife than that, but I can still reverse flick. This is an under 6-inch knife, and I can still reverse flick this knife, which is on camera not doing a good job right now, but yeah, there you go. But like I said, this knife has a very nice 45-degree relief in the back, so your finger can rest there, and it has a front finger choil. So even though it's a tiny knife, you can get a very good purchase on the entire tool. And unlike this knife, this is a locking knife, which is much safer in the open position. So if you put forward pressure on the back of this blade, the blade doesn't close. So the people in the UK, if you're watching this, listen, I don't mind the features of this knife, because I understand it. But we're just talking about pure safety. A locking knife is safer than one that doesn't lock. Period. This knife here, when it's closed, it's in its safe position. It's closed. You open it. In the open position, it locks. So there's no chance that this thing, while your hands are around the handle, which is where the dangerous, the sharp part goes, while your hands are there and you're using it, under any circumstances, is it going to come down on your fingers until you want to close it. All right, so that's the 411 on that. And a few other examples of smaller knives. There's another Kizer, the Mini Roach. This is also a smaller knife, a lot bigger than this though, but it's a smaller knife. And if I was just using the handle, there's a hang off here. I only got 3 fingers, maybe 3 1/2 or 3 1/4. But anyway, using the front finger choil, which is beautiful on this knife, by the way, I get my whole hand around it. You got more control of the blade, and you're using the tool how it's intended to be used. So, smaller knives. Sun and Moon. Right? Chaparral Sun and Moon. Very small knife. If this did not have a front choil, you'd be in the same boat. But having that front choil really allows you to hold the knife securely and fully with your hands. I mean, I wear size extra large gloves. So, and I can hold a small knife like this as long as it has that front choil. When you have knives like, say, the Mini Grand, yeah, when you have the Giant Mouse Mini Grand here, hold on a second. Yeah, this is a relatively small knife, and it does not have a front choil. This has no front choil. You can put your fingers up on this flat area. It's not what it's designed for though. The handle. It has a relief, a 45-degree relief in the back also, but this is a very far removed knife. Holding this knife with this small blade with your hands this far back, it does feel removed from the blade. Unless you're doing something that you just need to use a knife to puncture something, right? You're puncturing, it feels comfortable. But cutting from back here, not that you can't cut from back here, but it doesn't feel as controlled as being able to choke up and get up on top of that blade to actually make a nice detailed cut on your on the project that you're working on. So yeah, man. So this knife is nice. This is really nice. The fact that other thing is, the other reason why, back to Nick Shabazz with his video, there was two things. One, that knife had a front choil, which wouldn't, a front flipper tab, which doesn't allow for choke up. And two, it was titanium, which was a frame lock. And the knife is so physically small that when you were holding it, a lot of times you'd hold the frame lock. You'd have your hands holding it right on the frame lock itself, preventing, when you use these type of knives, you have to get your fingers out the way, right? Even using the VK1 here, if I'm gonna flip this, I have to make sure my fingers are back here, not my finger resting on the blade. Because if it's resting on the blade, it makes it difficult to get the blade out. Well, this knife is so small. In a frame lock, man, there's not a lot of real estate there to put your hands. So yeah, it just wasn't, the video was very informative and very instrumental in me picking this particular version of the Mini Sheepdog, and I'm very glad I did. I'm very glad that I watched that video and made an educated decision, and that's what it's all about. That's what these videos are about. That's what the knife community is about. It's about content creators making videos, putting things out that's their experience. In my situation, I get things that I like, and then I just relay information to the public. That's what YouTube has always been, right? YouTube is set up so that if you want to learn how to do something or learn about something, you can just go to it, and people have their own experiences on there showing you this is how it is. So you can just look it up on YouTube, right? So yeah, but this knife definitely is yeah, hard to do a spidey drop a little bit, but with my fingers. But yeah, no, it is fidgety. It is quite fidgety. It has a detent system that keeps the blade closed, and then a detent that keeps it open until you force it closed. And it doesn't take a lot of force at all. Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly centered blade. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful exposed liners. Deep pocket clip that's completely recessed. Screws are recessed also. Right hand tip up only for the pocket clip. barrel standoffs, 2 in the back, and 1 main pivot. Yeah, very, very nice build. Just very clean build. Very clean. Very nice. Very fidgety. Very fidgety. Yeah. So this version of the knife, I wouldn't mind in a button lock either. I think this comes in a button lock too. The flipper tab version that comes in a liner lock, I think I wouldn't want that version. I think I saw a video of the flipper tab and the liner lock. When you hit the liner lock, it releases the tab and it instantly touches your thumb, like very, very early, because it's such a small knife. But listen, whatever version you get of this, there's a way to deal with whatever you're dealing with. It's just a small knife, very small, and you need to have an understanding of it and how it works. Yeah, G10 is nice. Really hard, durable G10. And I love the look. It just has a very, very clean, refined look to it. I actually like the closing of this, the way you close it, and just by breaking that detent. I think it's a cool fidget. It is small though. Yeah, so anyway, all right, so that's it. That's my first impressions. I'll carry it and I'll use it a little bit and come back with a secondary assessment. You know how anything is, you have it for a while, you use it, and then you come back and say, well, listen, it's this, it's that. But yeah, you just have to remember, we're so used to being able to put pressure on the back of these spines no matter what, because of the locking mechanism of knives. You have to remember with this knife is not to do that, especially if you're using the front choil, right? That's what you have to remember. Thanks to UK, right? And if you're putting pressure on something, cutting it, then you don't have to worry about the blade closing. But if you're not, the blade can close. Look. That's what it is. If you're back here and the blade closed, no harm, no foul, because the part of the blade that doesn't have the sharp edge touches your finger, in effect stopping it, giving you time to move out the way and close it safely. So, yeah. Anyway. All right. That's all I got. That's the Kizer Cutlery Mini Sheepdog in 154 cm steel and G10 handle slip joint. All right. That's all I got.